How do you fix a non-buildable parcel? It's a tricky question. There's not one simple answer, but we're going to do our best to answer that question in this video. Before we answer the question, we need to define what is a non-buildable parcel. So I'm going to give you a definition here. A non-buildable parcel is a parcel on which you cannot obtain the needed permits and permissions to build either a structure or other improvements like a parking lot. So you need a permit or other permission from the typically local government agency to build. For whatever reason on this parcel, you can't get that. You can't get the permits. So you can't build legally. So there are other reasons why a parcel can be non-buildable. For example, there could be engineering challenges to the site. There could be a lack of infrastructure, so you don't have access or the utilities you need. Or there could be natural hazards like a floodway or a earthquake fault. So there are other things that make parcels non-buildable, but what we're talking about in this video is you can't build because you need a permit or some other kind of permission from a government agency to build, and you can't get that. So how do you fix that type of non-buildable parcel? I'm going to give you 5 things you want to make sure that you do, okay? And you may need to get help with this. But here's 5 things you can do if you have a parcel that appears on its face to be non-buildable. Okay, so you go down to the building department, say, I got this parcel, I want to build on it, and they say, nope, you can't. You can't get a permit. Can't get a building permit. What do you do? Okay, so the first thing you want to do is determine if the parcel is really unbuildable. And that's not as simple as it seems. You can't just trust what the local land use regulator tells you. Okay, why not? Sometimes they make mistakes. Sometimes they don't understand their own land use regulations. Sometimes they don't understand the law. And sometimes you get local land use regulators that don't like stuff being built. So you want to be careful about taking their word for it. You can start the conversation there, but you want to make sure you get an outside opinion on what the local regulations say about your ability to obtain a building permit. So that's the first thing. Make sure that you really are dealing with an unbuildable parcel. The second thing is determine the regulation or regulations that are preventing you from pulling the permit. And the local land use regulator should be able to specifically tell you, here's why you can't build, here's the regulation, make them show it to you in the legislation, either the ordinance or the regulation, make them show it to you in writing. So figure out exactly what it is, why you can't build. They should tell you that. Okay, the third thing is understand the local building permit process. So every jurisdiction has a building permit process. It's different in most, every place is a little bit different. Some places are very different. So understand, the hoops you got to jump through and in what order you got to jump through the hoops. Make sure you have a handle on that. The fourth thing is push back on the land use regulator. Tell them, hey, I bought this parcel. I want to be able to build on it. What are my options? How do I turn this into a buildable parcel if you're telling me it isn't currently a buildable parcel? In a lot of places, including California, you as an owner may have some right to accommodation if you bought a what we call a non-conforming parcel. Especially if you didn't know that when you purchased, and the local government agency may have some obligation to accommodate you to make some compromises. So, and you need to probably talk to an attorney about that, but push back on your local land use regulator and say, all right, you're telling me the parcel isn't buildable. What do I have to do to make it buildable? Ask that question. And then the fifth thing is get the right type of help. So this is hard. It's hard to manage this stuff if you don't have experience in commercial real estate and in land use planning. So hire a private land use planner or hire a land surveyor that's comfortable with land use regulations. You may need to hire a land use attorney. But there's opportunities out there in commercial real estate. There's parcels that people think they can't build on that you can build on if you go through the right steps and you jump through the right hoops so you can realize that value. I'll tell you right now at the end of the video, the most common reason why you get this kind of non-buildable parcel is because of the zoning. So you've got a parcel you want to build on and you can't, it's not allowed under the current zoning. We are going to talk about in that specific situation where zoning is the main challenge. What can you do, especially here in California, to perhaps get around that obstacle, right? So there are potentially ways to do that. We'll cover that in another video. There you go. Now you know what a non-buildable parcel is, some reasons why a parcel might be considered non-buildable, and I gave you 5 steps, things you can do. Work with a good land use planner or land surveyor and go push back on the agency a little bit. See if you can turn that non-buildable parcel into a buildable parcel.